Hello guys, we're going to be looking at my new server rack. Now this is going to be an exciting project. In this video we're just going to quickly overview this server rack and take a quick peek at it. So what I went with is the Tripp Lite Smart Rack 24U. Model is SR24UB. So this will hold up to 24 units worth of space. Now the amount of space in this room cannot account a 48U size. So this was appropriate for me and it will fit all of my required equipment. So the stuff for the data center project I plan on putting in this is going to be a few Dell Power Edges, a lot of networking gear, 10 gig switches, pfSense router, some UPSs, and stuff like that. That's what I plan on putting in here. I'll have a Jetstream. My home server is going to be a Dell R730. My file server, which runs TrueNAS, will be a Dell PowerEdge 730 XD. Also have an NTP, a Stratum 1 NTP server in this rack. I'll have a 10 gig SFP switch. I'll have a 48 port PoE switch to run my wireless access points, security cameras, VoIP phones, etc. I also have a 1U pfSense router in here, along with other gear. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the unit itself. Now this unit can support mounting depths from 3 to 32 inches, and that is plenty deep to be able to store servers. So the Dell Power Edges I'm looking at are generally around 27 inches deep. And I also have a HP ProLiant server that's going to be going into this rack that is of similar depth. So this can accommodate various rack sizes, rack depths. So this currently it's on caster wheels, but the casters will be removed because it's going to be sitting on a back wall here, which I'll show you in a little bit. So let's go ahead and take a look at the unit. Now this unit, I bought this for $1,000 on Newegg, and this unit's not something you can just ship via UPS or FedEx. This has to come via freight on a freight truck. So this big ass truck pulled up our driveway and dropped it via liftgate and wheeled it into my garage with a pallet jack. And surprisingly, the shipping was completely free. So that was excellent. But $1,000 price point, we're going to take a look at how good this holds up. So in the front, you have a locked door, and it has a nice front mesh. It says Tripp Lite, which you can remove. The doors can be completely reversible, so if you need it to open up on the other end, you can do that, which I'll have to do. So we can open it up, and there is the inside of the unit. Everything's grounded. This chassis will be grounded to utility ground. We'll be running dedicated circuits for this server rack, but everything's properly numbered as you'd expect for a rack chassis, and we'll of course get closer views. So inside, it does come with the caster wheels you can install on the bottom. You have your owner's manual. So this is a 24U enclosure. It'll tell you how to adjust the rack depths, reverse the doors, install the grounding. This unit will have to be bolted to whatever surface you put it on. But yeah, that's just a quick look in the front. We'll go ahead and turn it over on the side. You guys can see it does have doors. Doors on all four corners. So it has a side panel which can easily come off, but you'll note, and I asked this question too, can somebody just come up to it and easily remove the panel? They can't unless you release a locking mechanism from the inside of the unit, which will require you to have a key to unlock the front or back door to do so. So there's the side. I'll go ahead and turn it to the back. The back is going to be pretty much identical to the front. And you can make whichever side you want to be the back or front of the unit. So actually, I'm going to make this the front of the unit because it has an access hatch on the top where all your wires and stuff can come out. It also has the same access hatch on the bottom as well for wires and stuff to also go out the bottom as well. We'll go ahead and open the unit and get a closer internal view. So it comes with some more stuff in here. So I'm going to go ahead and they have it zip tied to one of the rails. I'm just going to go ahead and cut these zip ties. And we got something else. This is probably all of our screws and stuff, our cage nuts. I'm gonna cut all these zip ties out of here. So, like I said, to release the side panels, you'll have to use latches that are on the other side. So let's do that again on the correct side. So I'm going to get you guys a better camera angle so hopefully you guys can see how this side panel comes off. So I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's a little lever in here. You turn this and then you pull it like that and it will release this door. Then now you can clip the side door and the side door will just come right off. One thing you do want to note is the side panel doors are also grounded, so you'll have to disconnect the ground wire that's associated with the side panel door, and then you can fully remove the door. So I was able to remove the side panel door. Like I said, there's a grounding connector as well on the side panel door. You remove that. There's a little locking lever on the inside. You just turn it, pull it to you. It's like kind of like a pin type of deal. And then you can clip the door latch on the outside of the side panel door. The door will come off. You just disconnect the ground wire. You got your full access to this side. So I'm going to do the other side with the camera angle where it's at so you guys can see better. Like I said, this unit's on caster wheels, so it will fully move and everything. It does not come, when it comes on the pallet, it will not come with the caster wheels installed. You'll have to install the caster wheels. Like I said, I just have the caster wheels temporarily installed just so I was able to move it into this room because I didn't have a pallet jack and the thing is heavy. But I will be taking the caster wheels back off when it goes into permanent installation. So there's our side panel. Like I said, you won't be able to take this door off unless you release the inside latch. So I'll do that, which of course it's off camera. You'll hear that little click. And then now the side panel door will come off and I'll disconnect the ground wire. So now both side panels have been removed. You now have full access to both sides of the unit. Pretty nifty, right? So there's a couple things I have to do on this rack to prep it for my particular application. One thing, the doors have to be reversed on both sides because the way that they swing open will be incorrect to where it's being installed. Now, there's ventilation fans at the top, and then that's the same end that has the access hatch for your wires on both the top and bottom. That's the side I'm going to make my front. And the way the door swings open is in the incorrect polarity, so I'm going to reverse that. Now, the manual will fully show you how to do that. It's very simple. It's just doing a couple pins, flipping door upside down, putting it into the other side's pinholes, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll also show you guys the top. We'll have to remove the bottom and top faceplates, and we'll also have to adjust the mounting depth of these rails to accommodate 27 inches of depth, which will be the amount of depth I'm going to need for my Dell power edges. That's going to be going into this. So on page 6 of the manual, section 5.2, reversing doors. The doors of the enclosure are held in position on the enclosure's frame with 2 spring-loaded pins. To reverse doors swing direction, simply release the pins by pulling them up, lower pin, and down, upper pin, and remove them from the mounting holes of the frame of the enclosure. Flip the door in the opposite direction and replace the pins in the identical mounting holes on the other side of the enclosure's frame by lining them up with the mounting holes and engaging them. Also, you'll have to note that these front and back doors are grounded, so you may have to change the grounding connector to match on the other side. So first thing you want to do is probably want to disconnect the ground. Then we'll go ahead and do the mounting pins. This opens like that. It's not the way I want this to open. I want it to open the other way. So what I did was I just disconnected the ground wire from this side of the chassis. You'll see an identical grounding screw hole on the other side. Obviously, that's where you're going to screw it in. You want to make note to keep the screw. I know you probably can't see it on camera. And the washer. So there's that. Now we can go ahead and flip this door. So I know you guys aren't going to see on camera. I'll try to get you guys a camera angle so you can see what I'm talking about. But the pins are actually on the inside of the door frame. So I'll get you guys a close up of that. So I don't know how well you guys can see that on camera, but the pin right here, and there's one identical on the bottom. Like I said, I disconnected the ground wire. See how the door is grounded. It's also a good idea when you're prepping the server. Also, just make sure all your these ground connections are nice and tight. But I disconnected it from this side. We're going to connect it on the other side, and we'll pull these pins out. There's one on the top and bottom. So there's the door removed. Now I'll do note that once you release that lever, it's going to want to fling. You better be holding on to that door. These doors weigh a decent amount of weight, but there's the front door. And all you got to do is just flip it upside down, and that will reverse the swing direction polarity. And of course, the logo will be upside down, but you can just take a little Phillips screwdriver and pop that out. So I'm actually going to do that while I have access to it right now. Okay, so I was able to reverse the door. However, it's almost like the spring pin is not going in all the way, and the door is kind of uneven on the bottom. It's kind of meshing up against the bottom. So I'm going to figure out that spring clip, but you get the concept, right? So, that's interesting. And I noticed this will have to be, you can keep at the bottom, but this you can unscrew. And there's another screw terminal at the top of the door, so you can attach it. So I'll have to figure out these spring clips and why they're acting up. But it should just, pop into place, So I'm gonna look at the other door and see how if that one engages better and how they did that. So, looking closer, it looks like there's some type of standoff that has to be installed. Yeah, I don't see them mention that in the manual. So, the doors of the enclosure are held in position on the enclosure's frame with two spring-loaded pins. To reverse the door's swing direction, simply release the pins by pulling them up a lower pin or down upper pin and remove them from the mounting holes of the frame enclosure. Flip the door in the opposite direction and replace the pins in the identical mounting holes on the other side of the enclosure's frame by lining them up with the mounting holes and engaging them again. It says nothing about these standoffs. It looks like there's standoffs that have to go installed. I'll be a son of a bitch. I'm gonna check the other side and see if the opposite one has these standoffs or not. It looks like there has to be. They're like little gold washers that help hold the door up, because the door is on there. It's rubbing at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? It's not on correctly. There's also a bit of give to it. So, yeah. I'm going to look closely at the other side and then compare it to this side here. Okay, so the other side, on the opposite side, they don't have the same look to them. These ones have what looks like some type of washer, and I don't know how it comes out or if it even can come out. I mean, I could probably get some pliers and try to pull it out, but I might damage it. I don't like that. Yep, well, I'll be a son of a bitch. There's two little gold pins that have to go on these holes to kind of give this door a standoff, like a washer. And this is not documented in the manual. So you have to remove those pins and put them on the other side before you install the door. Otherwise, the door is going to rub against the bottom. For a $1,000 product, I would expect better documentation. So I took my pair of linemen's and pulled those pins out. Now I got to put them in on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. just so you guys see what I have to do, I'm going to get a close-up shot to show you guys these little pins that you must pull out from the other side and put on the reverse side if you want to change the door's swing direction. There you go. So you have to kind of tap them in. So I don't know how well you guys saw that, but you see that little gold little washer standoff thingy, little pins. You have to pull those out of the other side and put them in the other side. There was no mention or picture to depict that at all. So that is very bad. That is a big documentation fail, and would leave the customer scratching their head as to what the hell is going on. So now we can go ahead and put our door on, and it should swing properly. It's still catching. What the hell is going on? Okay, so I did put those pins on, those washers, spacers, whatever you want to call them. That got rid of the play in the door. However, when I go to close the door seems okay. much more stable. Seems like the pins are engaged. However, it wants to rub about right here at the bottom. I don't know what it's rubbing on or why it's rubbing, but it wants to rub. It's not supposed to rub. Like, you can push it and it'll go all the way closed, but it's rubbing. I'm not sure why. So, I'm going to have to do some more digging and seeing what the heck is going on here. Because this is very frustrating. So, I'm going to play with this door, look at it from the other angle. I'm thinking maybe one of the grounding things has to be moved. Maybe it's causing it to be rubbed. And if that was the case, it should have been documented. Now see, this right here, moving the grounding to the other side. Yes, it's common sense, but that was also not mentioned in documentation for reversing the doors. So that's a fail as well. So what else are they leaving out, right? Why is this catching? So I'm going to look at it from my angle. What is it catching on? Yeah, it seems to be a little bit lower. It almost seems like Well, Nope. Not catching on any of the grounding. Huh. Any ideas, guys? It's like it's sticking at the bottom here. And you know, that constant rubbing will eventually cause it to scrape the paint at the bottom. You know? $1,000 for a business product, you don't want that. That's unacceptable. It's almost like the bottom pin doesn't just set in there. You have to engage it, which it doesn't tell you how to do that. So I guess playing around with it, I'll find out, right? I don't know. Seems to me like a manufacturing defect or something. The pins are engaged. But yeah, they didn't tell you about those spacers. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the grounding back to this side, and we will proceed from there. I think the door is doing that because this surface is probably definitely not grounded, or level, I mean, because this house is all crooked. Maybe once you take off the Tripp Lite logo, it does that, you know? Starts misbehaving. Well, there's the door reversed. So I'm going to set this how it would be when it's going to be in permanent installation and see if the doors both swing in the direction I want. So the back door doesn't even need to be reversed, which is great. So I'm now going to proceed to the next thing. I'm going to remove this top wire cover. So as you guys can see on top, you have a little face plate where this can pop off. There's also one on the bottom. This is where all your wires can go through the top and or bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that plate. So there's that plate. What do you think? I think it's great. Now you know the bitch. There's also a plate on the bottom that needs removed. However, you're going to have to lean the rack back, which is going to be hard. And you guys notice something? I noticed something. I noticed a big fuck up. This is going to be the back end. So actually, all that hassle was fucking nuts. I had to reverse the other door. So now, I have to reverse this door back to its original direction and then reverse the other door. Hopefully both doors don't end up fucked up. I'm not very happy about that. I'm going to probably do that off camera. So, we are going to proceed to see if I can remove that bottom hatch. If not, that'll have to happen when the caster wheels come off and I have another person here to lift up on the server rack so I can access the screws to the bottom hatch. But I'm going to look at that, see if I can do it anyway. And then we have to adjust the rails to the proper mounting depth, which is going to be 27 inches is what I need for my Dell Power Edges. Okay guys, so we're back. So I was able to reverse the doors on both sides, and now both doors are able to swing, open, and close without any scuffing. So there's no drag on each one. I was able to fix that issue. So I put the shelf in the right polarity of how it's going to go. This is going to be the front. The back's going to be, this is going to be the back because that's where all the cable access holes are at. And ideally, I want all the cables and stuff to run out the back. So I was able to figure out the doors. The next things I have to do is I have to adjust the rail depth and then remove that bottom wire cover and then remove the casters. And then this will be ready to be put up on the shelf or bench for permanent installation. So figuring out the depth of this, it's kind of confusing because it says one thing in the manual, it says another thing on the spec sheet, but when you go to measure it, it's something completely fucking different. So neither the manual or the spec sheet was fucking correct about the mounting depth, so I just have to wing it. So for my particular application, I'm going to set a rail depth of 29 inches. I was originally going to go with 27-inch rail depth for my power edges, but some of those power edges want a bit more rail depth, especially the newer ones like the 14th and 15 gens. So Dell power edges really want to see roughly about 29-inch mounting depth. So I'll configure it for that. And then in the front, I need a 2.4-inch front clearance for the cable management bracket that's going to go on the front. That's going to tidy up all the Ethernet and fiber runs going to the switches and networking gear. So I'll need a 2.4-inch clearance for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust these front rails to 2.4-inch clearance from the front door. So I don't know how well it's going to pick up on camera, but I'm going to try to do that. Now it's basically these main rail bars here. They're held on via two cage nuts, one on the top, one at the bottom, and you have a bottom bar here with your typical holes to where you can move it and adjust it. So that's on page 6, section 5.4 shows you how to adjust these bars. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that. First time messing with the cage nuts, so that will be interesting. So of course got a tape measure, which you're going to need. We're going to measure from the rail, the front of the rail, to the door, 2.4-inch clearance. that was relatively easy. The screws are on the inside going outward to a cage nut, and it uses a big Phillips screwdriver. You want to be careful because it does have these washers on the screw. So you'll have to count the number of holes that you went inwards, so it's going to be even on the top and bottom and on both sides. But yeah, the cage nuts are still in there. I have to remove them. But before I do that, I'm going to determine what hole slot I'm going to move it to, so I have the right 2.4-inch clearance in the front, because right now I have a little bit too much, so I can bring these up a tad. So probably a notch or two. Where the fuck did that go? Right there. I can't use these flashlights be any fucking good. They're all garbage. That right there would work. One, two, three. Yeah. It looks like it has an extra one. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'd be more like that. That gives me 3-inch. Two and a half, right there. Third one in. I think. So it looks like the third or fourth one in. To be safe, I'm just going to try the fourth one first. But, yeah, I wish there was a better way to do this. It's such a pain in the ass. Into the fucking war. Fuck. First step, install the fucking cage nuts. We got So I got that side rail in. I have it on the third one down, and I'll measure it. What sucks is the way they make these bars. They make it to where there's a big gap to where you can put the screw, so these can slide, so you can end up having crooked, which is a very bad design. So actually you have to, before you tighten the top and bottom down, you have to get out a fucking ruler and make sure the damn thing's level, which is a pain in the ass. So yeah, that's pretty fucking great. Looks a bit close. Oh yeah. Nope. That's way too. That ain't gonna work. So nope, 3N is not gonna work. It has to go on 4N. Not enough clearance for the cable management. So yep, 4N gives me 3-inch. That's the next notch I had available, so that will work. I'll have to screw the ground back onto that rack stud there, rack bar, whatever you want to call it, and then we'll have to adjust the other side. And before we level these, what we'll do is you'll put this on the surface you're going to have it, level out this by using the feet levers. Then once the whole frame is level, then you'll level these. It's ideal you have them level, so you'll have to get out a ruler for that. God damn it. Okay, so I don't know how well you guys can been seeing. Just remove this post now. It seemed like this side had better washers on the screws. One thing to note, you want to hold on to the back end of the screw. You want to hold on to the cage nut, because sometimes cage nut will start turning and it will make it to where you're just screwing forever. So, just put your 2 fingers behind and hold that cage nut in place and then unscrew. But we're making progress slowly but surely. This is not an easy thing. You have to adjust the rails on both fucking ends, and then you have to do all the leveling and setting one of these up. I might as well just pay somebody to come do it. It's a hassle. Ground right in the way. There we go. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right at 3. Beautiful. So, I was able to get the front rails done. Now that I've figured out the process a little better, even when screwing them in, you want to hold that back cage nut. Just makes it a little better. And you use for the Phillips screw that's on it, you use a Phillips P3. to do that. The cage nuts, you want the clips to go from left to right, side by side, not up and down, as depicted in the manual, and it also tells you how to properly install cage nuts. Those cage nuts are pretty loose. You don't have to put a whole lot of tension on them. I can depress them with my fingers. So, hey, that was pretty easy installation there. So now we have to do the back rails, and that's going to be fun. I want to have a depth of 29. So that's going to be fun. Like I said, a depth from 29 from these front rails here. So that may go all the way to the end. But first thing, we'll measure it first, see where we're at right now. But yeah, so I have 3-inch clearance in the front. That's plenty for them cable management. And that's the only thing I'm going to have that's going to be sticking out very far. Of course, you gotta have a little bit of clearance for, any cables and stuff sticking out, but most of them will go straight through the cable management. So 3 inches is plenty clearance for some cables and stuff in the front. So now I'm just going to measure the distance from the back bars, and then remove the back bars, and then we will figure out how many slots inward we need it to be proper. So right now we're at 25.5 mounting depth. I just measured from the outer frame to the outer frame. Oof, we need 29. So this can probably do it, but it's probably going to be on the outward cage nut, which means that back door it might interfere with stuff, and that back door might have to be removed. That back door can fully be removed, so that's not an issue, but I didn't take that into account. See, this thing says it can go up to 32.5 inches deep in mountain depth, but it may do that, but you're got to account for, leave some space for all the cables and stuff sticking out of the servers and stuff that's going to go in it. So we'll see if I can get these in between 27 and 29. And that ballpark will be good enough, because the rails do have there's some leniency on those rails. They can adjust. You can get different types of rails. You can even get the ones where you set the server. It's kind of like a mini little lip, like the nave point type rails that help out with putting the servers in. So I'm going to try to get this between 27, 29. Like I said, this will support 32.5, so we have the space. It's just that back door will probably have to come out once I go to install the servers. So when I install the networking gear, that back door can stay on, because networking gear is not going to go very deep. Networking gear doesn't really need the back support. It just, because it's not very heavy, it just free floats on the front rails. But anyway, we'll go ahead and disconnect those or remove these back rails, and I'm just going to see, I'll disconnect the one, and I'm going to see where I think it should go to get me my mounting depth that I want. Fun, right guys? So another thing what I do is, before I even remove the rails, I'll just remove the ground connection from the rail. That's what I did in the front when I did the front rails. I removed the ground connection. Actually, I got to reattach a ground connection on this one. I'll remember to do that. Oops. But once you install the rails back on, you want to reconnect the ground connection to them. So, getting the top cage nut off, I just broke one of the cage nuts. So, I gotta find an identical cage nut to replace that. And I don't know if this is an M5 or M6. That's pretty bad. The freaking leg of that cage nut busted right off. And that was just using my fingers to try to pinch it off. So, not too pleased about that. Yeah, that cage nut busted off. So, I'll set that aside. We can get a close up of that later. Oh, I might just overlay a picture of it. Wow. So I got the bag of included cage nuts and, screws and all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and use that. Hopefully those are better quality than the ones they use to mount the fucking post. You think the ones to mount the post would be really heavy duty, right? That cage nut, oh my goodness, it just busted. So they have the back ones on 5 post in. I'm gonna try it at 2 post in, see if that gives me my depth I need. Find where that metal piecing went. What a joke. My reservations, huh? Certainly. They're quality brand. That is right in my fucking way. But we'll move it. Hold that cage in place. Come on, motherfucker. Don't tell me I got the wrong size cage nut. That's the right size cage So that first rear post has been moved, and now I'm going to measure it to see if I got my depth right or if I have to move it again. Okay guys, so we lost some of the footage, but what happened since I last filmed was I readjusted the rear mounting brackets, and I had to end up putting them on the last post. And basically I got myself a mounting depth of 29 inches, which is sufficient for both HP ProLiants and Dell Power Edges. So now we are going to remove the caster wheels, because this is going to be placed on a floor and not be moved around. So you want to remove the caster wheels and then install the leveling feet. So I'm trying different nut drivers here. So you're going to use a 3/8 nut driver to remove the caster wheels. Now by default, when it ships to you, it doesn't have caster wheels on it, but we installed caster wheels so we can wheel it from the garage into the basement, because we did not have a pallet jack. This originally arrived on a pallet, so we had to remove it from the pallet. Lay like carpet down or a blanket or something to lay the server rack down and install the caster wheels in the first place. You can see how we have this on a rug to prevent it from being scratched. We also took off both of the side panel doors, so when you can lay it down and pick it up, it's not as heavy. We could have also taken off the front and back door to make that even easier. So there's one caster wheel removed. Well, two caster wheels removed. Correction. Now you'll also have to install leveling feet, which the strange thing is these leveling feet were silver. They weren't even painted black to match the chassis. So my brother had to paint them black, otherwise it would look so fucking ugly and stupid. And you also have to install these feet that screw in and out to help you level the server cabinet to your ground. So you want to have a big like carpenter leveler and make sure that the server rack is level when you go to install it. Since we also have the bottom of the server rack exposed, we can also take off the wire plate at the bottom as well. So here are the leveling legs. These screw on, and then you unscrew them to level the chassis as need be. So to speed up the process, brother gets out a drill. Of course, as you get closer, you want to slow down on that drill because you don't want to strip them, right? So now we're taking that bottom plate off. This will allow you access to put wires out the bottom of the chassis. Now I wish they would have made like a grommet or something you can put down there. Maybe put holes through on those plates and put like grommets in the holes. I think that'd be more professional than having this big ass gap. If you look towards the top of the chassis, you could see the plate was removed there, and look at that big gap you have. So I think Tripp Lite could have done a better job on how you can enter and exit wires from the chassis. Okay guys, so the server rack has been successfully installed and put where it's going to stay. We could not put it up on that bench because the leveling feet actually add a few inches to the height of the server cabinet, which I did not account for. And also, the floor bracket on it that mounts it to the floor adds additional length as well. So this unit is supposed to be bolted to the floor, so when you put heavy equipment in it, it does not tip over. So I'll show you this mounting bracket. So as you guys can see, there's a mounting bracket that gets bolted to the bottom of the server chassis, and then you have to bolt it to the foundation. Now this is a cement floor. This is in the basement. So I'm going to have to find some type of bolt that can go through cement and also fit the dimensions of the holes there. And also the drill or impact driver or whatever the heck I need to do that. So I have to get somebody to do that for me. But they're on both sides, both the front and the back of the rack unit. So on the front, we have a key that can lock the server cabinet. I haven't used it yet, but I will lock it later. Not a whole lot in here yet. So if I open it up, you see we already got some equipment installed. We have the two MikroTik switches. There's more networking gear to come. I still have to get the PoE switch and also the pfSense router. And then the cable management brackets that go in there where you can route Ethernet cables and fiber cables and stuff through them to, cable manage and keep it clean. Usually between all your networking gear, you're going to want to have them cable management brackets in there. But I don't have those yet. On the top, I have a shelf from StarTech just to set like the modem, and I have a Ripe Atlas probe. A couple things up there. Right now, also the router is up there. I'm currently using the Netgate. I believe it's SG3100, which is going to be replaced by a rack unit. That hopefully, I think I have one that I'll be able to buy here soon, if the price is right. But yeah, as far as the unit, reversing the doors was interesting. But yeah, that's just the front of the unit. And the bottom of the unit just laying in here right now, very unprofessional and not going to be the final production. But just a spare UPS I had laying around. This is an old APC back UPS 750. Right now, the only thing that's plugged into that is just my DSL modem, my existing router, and a little 8-port Netgear gigabit switch. I'm not going to plug any of my actual rack units into this because this is actually a modified sine wave UPS, and all my rack gear is going to be on proper pure sine wave UPSs. Even though most gear has switching power supplies, they can handle modified sine wave. Still, just because I'm picky like that, I'm not going to be putting anything on that. I mean, I'm actually going to get proper rack UPS units that's going to go in here. I'm not going to be using consumer grade UPSs. But like I said, it's very, very temporary. What's going on there? So I have, like I said, there's my existing router, the Netgate SG3100, I believe. There's an 8-port Netgear gigabit switch in the back, and then you have my DSL modem. And this is just a 1U StarTech adjustable shelf, and it's in slot 23, so I get a little 2U space. If I was to put this in 24, it'd be blocked. You wouldn't have, because you have that cover in the front, so you couldn't access it. So that's why it is where it's at. So that's what the side of the unit looks like. Like I said, I had to set it on the floor here. I'll close the front door here on it. This can come off, and you can gain access to the side there. That will be useful for when you're doing some cable management in the back. You have additional access, and when you're racking heavy units, you can have additional person holding the server up from this angle as well, which is very helpful. But yeah, that's just a quick look at the side of the unit. So this is a view of the back, just a side view here. It's gonna be hard to get my camera back in there to show you, but you can probably see the wires coming in through the wall beams. Those are the two dedicated electric circuits I ran for the server rack. Like I said, we have a 120 volt 20 amp line and a 240 volt 30 amp line. But I'll try to get you guys a better angle in the back here. It's going to be kind of hard to do. So I don't know how well you guys can see in the back of this unit. I tried to get my cameras back as far as I could, but literally, it's a slop fest right now. And there's already cobwebs forming. But literally, you just have some wires and, power lines and stuff to the gear at the top. I mean, this is nowhere near what it's going to actually be like. But if you're curious what the back currently looks like, I mean, it's a wire fest right now. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is. We'll make do with it. But, yeah. And another angle, this is the back on the top. I do have a laptop sitting up here. It's just a spare laptop that runs that I do stuff off of. I have a crappy network video camera right here. So I can... somebody gave it to me for free. It's not going to actually be one of the security cameras I use. I'm going to have all Ubiquiti cameras and a Ubiquiti network video recorder in this rack. But, it's something's better than nothing. So I can go into its web GUI and watch the room, make sure nobody's, coming in to the server room. But, yeah, you just have an access hole right here, and that's where wires can come up and out. I'm actually going to have a nice, I don't know what you would call it, like a plenum or like a tunnel that's going to go up through here and then go over to the main wall there. And I don't really like this. I wish they had like grommets and like you can put a grommet in here with holes. I might be able to find something that's its exact dimensions that can fit in there, but we'll see. This is a Ripe Atlas probe right here. This gets power from USB. Ideally, when this is all said and done, this is going to be on the first shelf, and I'll have a power adapter or something for it to feed it. But yeah, that's a Ripe Atlas probe. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it as far as the server rack. I wasn't able to get it placed where I want it to be. You know, I want it to be up there on that bench, but this might actually be better because when you get heavy servers and stuff, it's gonna be easier for something that's on the ground than rather lifting something up really high and getting it racked in. So I guess stuff happens for a reason, you know. So hey, maybe it's better this way. And you know, it's on a level surface; it's not gonna fall or anything. So hey, it is what it is. I'm fine with it where it's at. But yeah, that's just been an overview of the server cabinet. It was definitely fun getting her set up and getting the rails adjusted for it, the mounting rails, getting the right depth, getting the doors adjusted and everything, and you know, it was definitely interesting. But anyway, guys, that will wrap up this video. Thanks for watching.